Backstage at America's Got Talent is loud, busy, and glowing with nervous energy. Contestants rush past with costumes in their hands. Producers speak into headsets. Lights flash. Cameras roll. But in one quiet corner, a small Filipino boy sits on a folding chair, holding something precious in his hands, a tiny Philippine flag, its colors bright against his trembling fingers. Beside him, his mother fixes the collar of his simple white shirt, her hands shaking just as much as his. His father kneels in front of him, eye level, speaking in a soft voice meant only for him. "Remember," he says, "you are not just singing for yourself. You carry our home in your voice." The boy nods slowly. His lips move silently as he practices the lyrics of Lupang Hinirang in his mind. Around him, the noise fades away. The world feels far, distant, like a dream. A young staff member approaches and gently taps his shoulder. "You're on next," she says. He stands up, feeling the weight of the moment heavy but warm in his chest. He kisses the small flag and presses it to his heart. His eyes close for just a second. "I'm doing this for the Philippines," he whispers. Then he walks toward the stage entrance. Bright white lights spill through the curtain like sunlight through clouds. The crowd's roar grows louder with every step. His knees feel weak, but his heart feels strong. Somewhere far away, a nation seems to be holding its breath. And in that moment, this young boy is no longer just a boy. He is a voice. He is a dream. He is a country. The stage lights dimmed slightly, wrapping the theater in a soft twilight glow. Paris stood alone at the center, the microphone trembling just enough to reveal her fear. The applause had faded, but the emotion still hung thick in the air. Simon cleared his throat, his voice unusually gentle. "Paris. I have to ask. Why now? Why this stage?" She swallowed and glanced down at her shoes, the glitter on the stage reflecting in her wet eyes. "Because I've spent my life being invisible," she whispered. "Everyone thinks being his daughter is a gift that makes everything easier. But sometimes, it makes you disappear." The audience leaned forward as one. She continued, her voice gaining strength. "When I was little, I watched the world love my father. But behind closed doors, I watched him disappear too. And when he was gone, so was my direction. I didn't know who I was without his name in front of mine." A woman in the audience sniffled loudly. Paris lifted her eyes to the judges. "I tried to be normal. I tried to be quiet. I tried to be strong. But the only time I ever feel real, is when I sing. When I sing, I remember him. Not the star. The dad." Simon pressed his lips together, nodding slowly. "Is the song tonight about him?" he asked. She hesitated, then nodded. "Yes. But it's also about me. About finding my own voice when his is gone." The music director raised a hand, waiting for her cue. Paris took one last breath and said quietly into the mic. "This is the first time I've ever sung this in public." The lights lowered further. A single spotlight captured her like a fragile flame in the dark. Her fingers loosened their grip on the microphone. And for the first time that night, she was ready to sing. The theater disappeared into darkness as the opening piano note echoed through the hall, slow, soft, trembling like a heartbeat. Paris closed her eyes. For a moment, she looked like a little girl again, standing in front of the mirror at home, singing only to herself. Then she began. Her voice was barely above a whisper, fragile as glass. "I grew up in a world of flashing lights. But nights were quiet, empty sounds." The words floated into the closed mouths and open hearts of the audience. Every lyric felt like a secret finally spoken aloud. Her voice wasn't perfect, but it was honest. And honesty was louder than power ever could be. The camera cut to Simon. His jaw was tight, eyes glassy. Paris lifted her chin and the song grew stronger. They saw a king, a golden crown. I saw a man who couldn't lie down. A soft gasp moved through the crowd. Her voice cracked on one note. She pulled away slightly from the mic, steadying her breath. The pianist followed her, matching every shake, every pause. The moment was raw and unscripted. You left too soon, you left too fast. Now I'm learning how to outlast. In the audience, a man wiped his eyes. A young girl clutched her mother's arm. Even the camera crew looked undone. Paris opened her eyes for the chorus. If I'm standing in your light tonight, it's because you taught me how to shine. It was no longer just a song. It was a goodbye. A confession. A promise. Her voice rose higher, but never lost its ache. I'm still your child, I'm still your song. I'm learning how to be strong. The final note trembled, then vanished into silence. No one clapped. No one breathed. The room was frozen, suspended in heartbreak. And Simon Cowell slowly lifted his hand to his face. The silence after the final note was heavier than sound. It pressed against the walls, against the hearts of everyone inside the theater. Paris stood still, her hands frozen around the microphone, afraid that if she moved, the moment might shatter. Then a single shaky breath came from the judges' table. Simon Cowell had turned slightly away from the stage, his fingers resting against his lips. His eyes were wet. Not the kind of shine that comes from bright lights, but the kind that comes from memory. He cleared his throat once. Then again. The camera caught him wiping beneath his eyes, trying to recover. He didn't speak right away. He couldn't. How, he finally whispered, his voice barely carrying into the mic, do you sit there and judge, after something like that? The audience stirred, soft and emotional. Paris looked down, afraid she had done something wrong. Simon leaned forward, his hands now folded in front of him like a man in prayer. I've heard thousands of singers, he said. Some technically perfect. Some loud. Some unforgettable. His voice cracked. He stopped. Closed his eyes. Took a breath. But you, he continued, you didn't sing to impress us. You sang to survive. And that's something no vocal coach can teach. A tear rolled freely down his cheek now. He didn't hide it. I lost my father too, Simon added quietly. And when you sang, you didn't just tell your story. You told mine. The audience broke into gentle applause, respectful, emotional. Simon looked directly at her. You came here carrying a name the world worships, he said. But tonight, you made us listen to yours. Paris's chin trembled. She wiped her eyes quickly, trying to stay composed, but they kept falling. Simon stood slowly. And the crowd, sensing something monumental, rose with him. The air changed. Something legendary was about to happen. Simon stood in silence for one long second, as if the weight of the world rested on his shoulders. The theater was so quiet you could hear someone breathing in the audience. Paris looked up at him, eyes wide, heart pounding. She thought the moment was over. It wasn't. Simon slowly turned and looked toward the glowing gold button at the center of the judge's desk. The audience realized before she did. Whispers turned into gasps. No way. He's going to. Is he really? Simon placed his hand over the button but didn't press it yet. Paris, he said, his voice steady but thick with emotion, talent is everywhere. But truth like that, is rare. What you gave us tonight wasn't a performance. It was a gift. Paris shook her head, overwhelmed. Thank you, but. He interrupted gently, smiling for the first time. You came onto this stage trying to be brave. I want you to leave this stage knowing you already are. Then. He slammed the golden buzzer. Boom. Golden confetti exploded into the air, pouring down like a storm of stars. The crowd leapt to their feet, screaming, clapping, crying all at once. The music swelled as shimmering gold rained over her trembling shoulders. Paris dropped to her knees, her hands covering her mouth as sobs broke free. She looked up through falling gold, eyes searching the ceiling like she might see her father watching. "Dad," she whispered. Simon walked around the desk and onto the stage. He helped her to her feet and wrapped her in a gentle hug. "You're not alone anymore," he said. Gold continued to fall. And as the lights blazed brighter than ever, Paris stood not as a legend's daughter, but as a star being born.